Coordinate Remote Viewing, Theory and Dynamics. Approved for release August 8, 2000. Coordinate Remote Viewing, CRV, is a psychic technique which permits a viewer to transcend time and space, to view, perceive people, places, or objects without the viewer being physically present. The phenomena of remote viewing has existed for many decades, with equally as many variations and techniques. Ingo Swann pioneered the development of the technique referred to as Coordinate Remote Viewing, CRV, in the 1960s. While little has been done by Swann to record the technique to paper, over the years the methodology has been formally taught and the process improved upon. Project Sunstreak, a Secretary of the Air Force, and under Defense Intelligence Agency, has refined the process of teaching CRV to the degree that individuals possessing no known natural psychic abilities can be taught to remote view with extreme accuracy in a relatively short period of time. The training program for CRV takes approximately 6 months to complete, depending on the individual being trained. The training program is divided into 6 stages, with each stage increasing the scope and ability of the viewer. The stages must be completed in sequence and there is no time limit in the training progression. Movement to the next stage of training is entirely dependent on completion of the preceding stage. Stage 1 is divided into 2 phases of training or focus. Phase 1 is designed to develop the viewer's ability to discriminate aspects of terrain, such as mountains, water, desert, etc. Phase 2 trains the viewer to work with encrypted coordinates which are keyed to a specific geographical location and to view the site or target. In Stage 2 of training, the viewer is taught the interpretation of sensory impressions, color, smell, temperature, etc. Stage 3 deals with recognition of dimensions at the site. Stage 4 training introduces the viewer to abstract concepts. Stages 5 and 6 are considered advanced stages of training where the viewer will experience a bit more flexibility in the training program. During the CRV training process, as with all training, it has been found that the learning curve of viewers will establish normal wave patterns that are increasing rapidly, peaking and tapering off, until it encounters the next training stage. This normal wave process presents no problem as long as the viewer and monitor are aware that the tendency exists, otherwise there is the opportunity for a decrease in the retention curve due to frustration. CRV is taught as a dynamic team process. Each session involves a conductor using a monitor and a viewer. The job of the monitor is to act as co-pilot to the viewer, keeping him on track, on site, and in perspective. The function of the viewer as part of the team is to enter an altered state, and remote view the given target. The basic theory of how CRV works is very logical and is easily comprehended, even by a non-psychic. While many theory questions remain unanswered, the fact is, the stuff works. A summary of the CRV theory would follow these lines. Somewhere, perhaps in the unconscious mind, there exists what we label the matrix. The matrix knows no boundaries and has no limitations, and it contains all information about all things. It could be thought of as omnipotent, or you could think of it as a database, etc. The matrix has within it patterns. Think of these as points within a 3-dimensional box. The patterns within the matrix each poses and radiates their own energy. This energy is emitted in the form of a signal or signal line, which is peculiar to that specific pattern. This pattern has other names by which it is known. It can be referred to as a thought ball or as a gestalt. Gestalt can be described as the pattern and all of its associated patterns. Cognitrons are a pattern product, created by interactions between neurons and synapses, after either a physical or emotional event. Cognitrons exist in the unconscious mind and can exist as separate patterns or as clusters of related patterns. A practical explanation of training theory and how cognitrons apply to learning could be accomplished using the example of an athlete. An athlete practices to reach a training objective. The objective could be skill-related, like a wrestling move. The move is rehearsed time and time again until it is done correctly or until significant improvement is made. Once improvement is made, training is ended, on a positive note to allow for the formulation of cognitrons in the athlete's memory. These cognitrons will enable the athlete to accomplish the task spontaneously the next time the move is attempted. The same is true of psychic training. Clarification of this growing list of terms and definitions can be accomplished by walking through the process to this point. The monitor will read the viewer a set of encrypted coordinates, for example, 31 degrees, 42 minutes east and 20 degrees, 16 minutes north. In very basic terms, viewer's autonomic nervous system will respond to energy produced by the gestalt or pattern, and this response will manifest itself on the ideogram. It is this registration on the ideogram that indicates that the viewer is receiving the signal line of the gestalt. The viewer will begin receiving impressions of perceptions of the target area, site, keyed to the specific issues he is concerned with, for example, structure, terrain, emotions, etc. When speaking of the matrix or of gestalts, and the related patterns, we are dealing with information which exists in energy form in the unconscious mind. The purpose of CRV training is to enable the viewer to extract the information from the unconscious and bring it into the conscious mind where it can be used for whatever intended purpose. All information and perceptions drawn from the unconscious must be processed through the Lyman thresholds, or the conscious mind will not be able to receive it. This transfer or passage of information is accomplished through the use of conduits or channels which permit various types of sensory information to pass through. There are a number of inhibitors called physical inclemencies, which shut down a viewer's ability to pass information from the unconscious to the conscious, or awareness. Each viewer has only a specific number of channels or conduits available in which to pass information through the Lyman threshold separating the levels of consciousness. If inordinate numbers of these channels are clogged with other functions, for example, survival, movement, sickness, fatigue, hunger, etc., then the viewer's ability to pass information will be greatly impaired. In order for a viewer to be effective, the greatest number of these channels possible must be made available. Viewing when sick, hungry, etc., is not recommended. What has been discussed here is theory and cannot be explained, measured, or quantified to the standards demanded by the scientific community. While analytical data may not be in abundance to support this theory, session reports and historical and experimental data exist to substantiate the fact that CRV is a reality.